became purple, and it started to blow white out, and it wasn't negative. It was very much trying to put a blanket or a shield or something. But I saw a dragon doing similarly. Just sharing that.
I feel like I have a message for Kristen. I'm being told, I'm shown Kristen, but not as Kristen, but as like a soul, that you're being asked to tone certain frequencies to facilitate the reception they're talking about. And they're also talking to Nefertiti, that it's like, I see you going to sit in the water, but it's very marshy water. And it's like, as you go down all the way to your neck, your body is becoming a part of the earth where there's, at the same time, the Kristen is toning. Nefertiti is also merging with the planet. It's all about, they're saying tuning. They're tuning the planet to a certain vibration. That's all.
Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you. I started to see that my breasts are leaking milk, actually. That is just running down, like going like to the soil. And it's just like the earth like is absorbing like all this milk that my breasts are like leaking. It feels weird because it feels like the pressure that I have, like it's a little bit going away, but it's a weird feeling. Like it's a very strange feeling of just letting them lick like that, and there's no like a baby like to be fed. Like they're just going into the soil. That's all for now.
I was getting two things. As Joseph was talking about the toning and the frequencies, I was having a feeling of having a very, very sore throat. And I realized that my throat felt sore because I had been singing a lot, and I could hear this sort of like sound that it's not like singing that we know it. It almost sounds like a cross between yodeling and that throat singing, that Thai throat singing, where the sounds that come out of it are almost like otherworldly. It's not like we know singing to be. And I felt like that they were saying, even if the singing is painful or hurts your throat, that if you keep doing it, it's not going to feel that way anymore, any longer. And when you were being led into the hall, I saw this huge room with bookshelves that went like, I almost don't know if there was an end to them, or if they went really, really high up, like stories and stories of bookshelves, and everything was white. The floors, the ladders, all of the books on the shelf. The books were white, but the binding was like, the pages in the actual book were like black or brown or like a darker white. And it was just a feeling of like everything in this room, like anything that had ever happened for anybody, anywhere across all time, space, and dimensions is somehow housed in this one place. And this is like beyond even the Akashic. This is like the Akashic records for the Akashic records or something like that. But it was just this place, and like every single being has like a book in there. And the book, like when it's on the shelf, it doesn't look thick, but when you take it down and put it on a table, it's like bigger than a dictionary. It's like one of those like super heavy books. And I feel like this is a place that all of us on some level are right now. And we have the ability to go there and to connect with anything that's ever happened to us or is happening to us. And it feels like as you touch the book, like it's just anything that you may have ever had in any of these lives across notions of past, present, and future and nowness, like you can access and become one with, but to connect with the greatest part of ourselves means that we all also have to connect to the shadow parts of ourselves. And I can like see the shadow of the book on the table. You know, and it's just there's just that awareness of that. That's all I'm getting right now.
I was still down in the house of a mentee, and my consciousness, I was standing outside of the room that I was in earlier, and I was thinking about the fire that was painted on the wall, and I was thinking, well, maybe I should take the fire that's in my hand and kind of light it, maybe that would light the wall. And as soon as I went to do that, I noticed that at some point a shield, a translucent, transparent shield went up in the doorway, and I couldn't get in. And then, sorry, Thoth came to me and said, "No, that's what's in there is done. That's it." And he said, "You can light the fire on the bottom." So I did that, and it was this death of this chapter. Not only for me, but I do feel this theme coming up for the earth and the collective. And as soon as I lit that on fire, he took this bell, and he went above my head and he started ringing the bell. So I definitely feel that message of attunement. And then this man, this Pope, who I've seen multiple times in this space before, he came forward again, and he had the incense in that metal container, and he's going around me, and he's doing the incense and clearing the energy. But I absolutely feel this message of attunement, alignment. And with the bells, I'm feeling it really specific with the sound frequency and vibration. Anything else? Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention earlier, about 5 minutes ago, I actually had to put myself on mute because all of a sudden I started coughing like crazy. And I got really, really cold. And I feel like this is a message from Spirit saying, as we're coming into this new energy, we really have to use our voice in whatever way possible. Dana brought through singing. I feel like if it's singing or speaking or whatever it is, but just really using our voice more in what's to come. That's all for now.
I wanted to share that I feel like this could be Odin speaking to me. It's not a confrontation. It's like but there's no lenience in the message. It's very straightforward, saying, they're showing me like when you like a peanut, you open the shell and then the peanuts are inside. You peel a banana and the fruit is there. And I'm being told There was a, I think it was related to Plato. It's like only those, or maybe Aristotle, only those who know astrology can enter this place. Like what I'm being told is to enter a certain space. I have to be opened. So they're opening me like a actual like a fruit. They're saying all things on this planet open. Human beings also have to open. And the way I'm being shown this openness is as it's like my skull, not to be graphic, but it's like on a symbolic level as I'm being opened in two halves from the top down to the sides. Everything within is exposed, it's vulnerable, and it's open to the light. But what I'm being told is like where I feel this is related to that space where Dana was talking about, it's like the Akashic of the Akashic. I feel like I cannot enter there until I am almost stripped down of my, it's like the external, it's like it's only being held there by some cognitive process of manifesting it through imagining it and imagining it. And it's like it has to come down now. And I have to step forward as the fruit steps forward. In complete, it's almost like surrender, but openness. And I can see the different colors inside of myself and the different like the pieces of the soul, the mechanisms, the what is the right word? It's the, feels like there's no word for this. It's like the, I don't have a word for it. That's all. Thanks.
I could see when you were talking, Joseph, about the skull being open and the body kind of being opened in half. It's almost like I could see a dissection of the body, and I could see the colors that you were talking about. It's almost like it was this swirly sort of like moving tie-dye kind of paint that was like going all throughout the body that was just energy. And it felt like it was all the colors of the chakra instead of being lined up in their individual points. And this wasn't just the 7 chakras we think of, this is, or the 12. This was like all of the little chakras on like the meridian points and everything. And they were just all blending together to create this sort of like kaleidoscope sort of tapestry. And I could see everything in these sort of cross sections, and it looked like they were being pulled out by something that looked like a pair of tongs or something. And we could pull them out and they could go under a microscope, and we can really look at every single thing that's in our body and like what it means and see how it's all connected. Or we can also learn to just look at everything as a whole. And I almost feel like that openness that you spoke of, the surrender you spoke of, is they're saying that like the balance is like doing both things. Like the minute we feel like we start to get weighed down by like a specific thing, we have to then surrender into like the openness and oneness of it. So we're not like going too far into one thing, and then it's all just colored lights in our body. That's all I'm getting right now.
To add to that, it almost feels like there's a rhythm, a heartbeat, a frequency that's pulsing. That if you're in the right rhythm, you can feel it and see that between the light, the opening of the earth, everything that everyone's saying. I almost feel like I feel a rhythm starting. like a heartbeat. And so
When you were talking about fruit opening and skull opening, I was seeing myself as a clam and kind of being pried open and the shell being pried open. And there was a point where it just popped and it was open. And all of a sudden I could see all around the ocean what all the things I'd never noticed before. There was orcas swimming by and seaweed and just being open to the expansiveness of knowing now what's there and seeing it all. That's all for now.
I want to say I don't want to keep going. I apologize. It's just I feel this overwhelming sense of the. I want to say the word divine feminine, but the word is being changed. It's like the over feminine is being called. It's like the over, not mother, over mother. This crying is like a frequency, and I feel the crying going through the veins of the universe. It's I'm being shown like the earth isn't a very is particularly related to and receptive to this crying energy. You're talking about emotions as tones, emotions as shades, emotions as channels. I just want to share that.
I'm getting this feeling of like again in my stomach and this feeling, but now I feel like I'm at the point where I just gave birth and I'm so tired. And I can see that like hospital room, I can see like the white walls and the bed and the blankets and like I'm so tired and I just want to go to sleep and rest and like I know that it's okay to go to sleep because I feel like I can trust that I'm going to be healed when that happens. And when I wake up, I'm going to have more energy. But there's just this complete feeling of being so tired coming over my body and that I know that I've done something and really birthed something. And it was so like I gave every single thing I had into it, both physically and emotionally and spiritually. And I'm just like, I just need to rest. I have to remind myself that part of the process of giving birth is to rest. So then I can like nurture and take care of and give energy to what I birthed. And it feels like partly literal, but also like metaphorical. And that part of what we're doing here in groups like this and in our own private session is we're giving birth to like all the things to what we give each other, but also things that we give ourselves, and that like we have to understand that the trusting in the cycle of it. Like we're going through this cycle, the Earth's going through the cycle, like the whole planet kind of is collectively going through the same cycle, and everything's happening on these like all of these different levels, but it's so connected. Because I feel like my stomach is also like the Earth too, and it's weird. That's all I'm getting right now.
I was feeling kind of like ashamed because of what if I was seeing. I don't know, like it made me feel like a little embarrassed, like to be leaking from my breast and stuff like that, and like thinking like what, these men and how people felt about that. And I just keep hurting this person saying like that it didn't matter, that it was okay like for me like to give because I'm also like being nurtured by doing that. That everything is like that, like the more that you give, like when you give things, then like you get also nourished by those things that you give as well, and not to feel like ashamed or embarrassed about it. That's what I have for now.
It's interesting that you're saying about feeling ashamed or of what you're seeing, because I've been sitting here for a while, and spirit's taking me on a kind of very interesting journey. There was one aspect that I was also feeling a little like, oh, should I share this? But I'm just gonna go for it. So I don't know exactly who, but someone mentioned Sirius earlier. And, I definitely feel that connection. I don't know exactly, but I think it's like the Pyramid of Giza, or one of those pyramids are directly aligned with Sirius. And it's definitely a huge portal today. So I was sitting here and I asked if any beings from Sirius wanted to share something. And right away I saw this light being come down. He manifested a little bit in like a galactic form, but he came down and he stood in front of me, and right away he put one of his fingers up to my third eye. And the energy was so intense that I didn't physically start, almost, but it was like I was being electrocuted. It was so intense. And as he was doing that on my third eye, I felt it so strongly in my solar plexus. And Spirit has brought through this message for me, and for the collective many times, about this connection between the third eye and the solar plexus. That's very important. But I started having these kind of cramping pains in my solar plexus as he was doing it. And he stayed there for quite a while, I would say a minute or two, on my third eye. And I kind of thought he was going to be done, but then he started going down the center of my head, or rather up, I guess. He moved his finger like a few inches up, and it was almost as if he was touching energy points on my body. Instead of like being acupuncture or something, he was just using his energy. So he went a few inches up to the crown of my head, and then he proceeded down to the back of my spine and down my back. And then the last point was like at the base of my spine and my root chakra. And as soon as he got down there, I looked in front of me, because I had this feeling in the beginning that maybe he was going to go all the way on my back and then up the front of me, but he didn't. he sent the energy there, and I realized after he stopped, but while he was at the base of my spine, I looked in front of me, kind of almost awaiting him to start doing the energy work in the front of me. But what I saw was, so I was abused as a child, and I saw the man who abused me, and I freaked out, and I started in this astral world. I started like kicking him and screaming, and it just really, really, really brought up this pain that I've done so much healing, but there's still, from what I'm seeing, there's still some stuck energy in the root chakra. And let me think for a second, because I know there was something after this. Oh yeah, so I noticed that energy, right? And then I started to see on the top of my head that, I don't know if it was that being or a different one, but they put a stone helmet on me, very, very thick, on top of my head. And then I started to see the scene of a mountain that was crumbling. It was coming down, and pieces were falling on my head and falling down all around me. And what I was feeling is just like this dismantling of energy. And then the being came back, and he unzipped my energy field. And it was like he took a layer of me off. And then it was interesting because I felt as if I was like this really fragile shell and very vulnerable. And I had this like really, really short hair that felt really dry. I'm not sure of why this is standing out to me, but it did. And then all of a sudden, from my feet up to my head, the being pulled up this, I don't know really how to describe it, but it's like this gel-like sleeve that he just pulled up around my body that has some kind of gel-like healing elixirs in it. And he pulled it all the way up to the top of my head. And he brought me kind of up with him back to Sirius. So there's a lot in there, but I feel that there's a really this message here about the root chakra, and grounding and really being connected to Mother Earth and healing the root chakra and any traumas and pain or whatever's in there, both personally and collectively. I feel like the root chakra is really suffering right now. That's all for now.
I have the feeling right now of being like pulled back and up, almost like the kind of feeling you get when you're on like a roller coaster or something and it like starts to go backwards. And I'm pulled up and I realize I'm in a helicopter and I can see the same terrain we saw earlier with the ice and the snow and the river and the trees. And I can just see for like probably hundreds of miles across. And I'm just in a helicopter looking at it all, and I feel like almost a feeling of being like airlifted out or something. Like I don't know how to describe it, but I can just see the whole thing, and it's kind of like I'm leaving it, I'm retrieving away from it.
I'm also feeling cold, firmly back into my body.
Does anyone else have any other messages or anything that they'd like to share with the group?
Yes, I just want to share like this last thing. I was seeing they showed me Joseph, and it was like they cut him off like it's from the top of his chest to his belly, and it was almost like he stepped out of like his human suit, and but he emerged again like the same one, like it was just as like he peeled like one skin off, and I saw him like running like through this white like scenery, like it was like a mountain or something like that where there's a lot of snow, and he started to run like instead of like two legs, like four legs, and just like he was hunting for something, or just like looking for something. It was like he became more like animal like more like instinctual, and he was just looking at everything and behaving like it was more like an animalistic way. And that's all that I saw.
You know, it's crazy you say that because I'm just sitting here and I'm so hungry. I can't tell you how. I feel like I could just eat anything and everything right now, and it's the most unusual thing. Extremely hungry.
Okay, unless anyone else has anything, I'm gonna close now.
Dana, actually, I have one idea for all of us.
Mhm.
If you and everybody are up for it. Um, I was seeing, earlier this sacred geometry when someone was talking about like how the earth wants to heal. And, I was feeling like she was asking for this golden yellow sacred geometry to be around her. And I was thinking it would be really beautiful because, like someone said in the journey, like we are definitely more powerful collectively. So I was thinking, like, if we just take a moment and I can time it, we can just do a really quick 1 minute meditation and just meditate on sending Mother Earth sacred geometry. What does everyone think about that?
I
I think
think
that's
that's
absolutely wonderful.
Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome.
Cool. I'll just do like a really quick little invocation and then yeah, we can just sit and meditate and we don't have to say anything, but I'll time it so we don't go too long. Um, yeah, and then we can close. Is that okay?
That sounds
Yes.
beautiful.
Um, as we sit here tonight as a group, we ask to be connected to the divine energy from source, and we ask to channel it through us into Mother Earth and surround her in your divine light and beauty with sacred geometry and light codes. Please help her to absorb these light codes, to fix any areas that need to be repaired in her energy, and to upgrade her DNA. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Spirit Guides and Source, for allowing us to channel your beautiful energy. We hope that Mother Earth receives this energy with love and with grace. Thank you. Namaste.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you to all of the spirits that have stepped forward this evening to share your messages with us. Thank you to Mother Earth herself and her manifestation in the snow and the ice and the river, the trees. Thank you to Thoth and Odin and Overmother and all of the other beings that gave us messages. We are eternally grateful and deeply thankful. Thank you for the wisdom and knowledge you shared, the guidance you provided us, and all of the gifts. We ask for your continued guidance in the coming days and weeks as we work to integrate the messages delivered for further awareness and healing. May light come down and may light shine up for us. May the horizon open and may there be a doorway for us to step through. May light come in all forms across all time and all space for all of us. And may we be refilled with the eternal sacred love of Source. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And with that, the sacred circle is closed.